We'll work for food and water and some fire. Hello?
Oh, it's best goods in the realm. We're sleeping outside today. Hello there. Goodbye. Hello. Take care. Sometimes I've got a feeling though.
Huh. Huh.
No more
Huh.
snowball fights. At least there's still love. Ah!
How's life treating you? Whatever you need, I've got it.
I believe best goods in the valley. Believe we have take.